Damn, no audio. Well, I guess I get to say it all over again. Shout out Gronomics. If you want to help mod, if you're in the area, let me know. I'll send you a link here. Um, okay, so let me start all of this over. I was actually muted, so no, you actually helped me out because I did not pay attention to that. And if you didn't say anything, I'm sure people would have gotten frustrated and be like, hey, we can't hear him either. So see something, say something. So that's fucking awesome, dude. You are awesome, bro. Like a brother from another mother, you and I, dude. All right. So with the King Palms, we're going to be rolling a 3-grammer. I was talking to you a little bit about everything. So let me recap real quick. So, welcome, guys. It's Madman Planet. We are back in the studio for round number 2 with correct audio working this time. It's always a technical difficulty somehow on this show. Anyways, today we're smoking on the Tropicana Cherry, and this was actually grown by my friend 804 Grow Tent. And when he was out, I hooked him up with about an ounce. So when he got his harvest, he hooked me back up. And Tropicana Cherry is one of my most favorite strains. Just the way it tastes, the smell, and anything cherry, like the cherry Zaletta, the lemon cherry pop, the cherry avenue, all those which I've grown, and even the Tropicana cherry are fucking amazing. And I grew it. My friend grew it. My friend Ed from Canatrol in Vermont grew it. So it's really cool because when you find the right cut, it's all the same no matter who grows it. And I'm just so excited because it pairs so well with what I just harvested. And so we're gonna dive right in. So tonight I have Tim Shafer, which Tim is a security expert. He also works for DTEC. So if you've ever been to NECAN, you've probably seen DTEC. They had the little emergency push arm alarm system for dispensaries. So he's a specialist in physical security. So he's running a little bit late, but he will be on here. So I'm going to fill in for him. But what I'm loving right now is the fact that I'm going to be smoking on some Tropicana Cherry. I also had pressed some of my Keef. I made a 5-gram coin. We're whittling this down. And then I also, which I should go get, I have a little bit of my the Lav Alive solventless, and this is the live rosin, the wedding kush that my friend got me from Beyond Hello, which is a medical dispensary here in Virginia. That if you have a medical card, I don't. I like my gun rights, and until that the judge or whatever can verify that does not affect my gun rights, I just not taking the leap for the medical marijuana card just yet. But my friend has, and so he brought me one of these as a little taste test, and I absolutely love this. And that's why I'm getting into the bubble hash making soon. And that's why a part of my portion of what I just grown is going to be going to the bubble wash as well. So, and as a stoner, wow, this is a real moment of honesty with you guys. I literally just forgot what I personally grew. Hold on. It was the booty clapper. Yeah, holy shit. I had like a blank second. I was like really thinking here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to roll this 3-gram blunt, and then we are going to start this podcast off right. So the tour is about to kick off in March. I think will be our first travel dates coming up. More details as this gets solidified, but it's definitely going to be fun to be on tour again. I love being able to talk, and I'm going to be doing some pretty cool things this year. Another thing too is I have my upstairs grow going because we're not using the tents anymore. So if you can see, this is the grow room and the plants right now. Let me see if I can zoom in. Do I have zoom in capabilities? No. As you can see, this is right here. All of these plants are the Mississippi Hippie by Lovin' in Her Eyes. And these were given to me as clones by my friend Meta Nugget. And they're awesome. And They're growing really well. You can see all the PVC on the floor. I actually have an episode coming up about how to build out a trellis net with PVC. I'm going to show people how to do that, and then this will stay in there. So right about where the height that they are right now is where they're about to be trellised at. And then I'm going to wait for these to pick up. I might actually relocate these two to the back just because there seem to be bigger plants, and then move that one forward. So forward, backwards, and then or switching those out just to keep it like an even canopy so nothing gets kind of overshadowed. And since they're the bigger plants, put them towards the back where they can kind of really shine. Over here in these right here, these just testing out, these are the GI Genetic Tropical Troopers. That's right. And I'm going to do just a pre-flower on them just to see how they come out. Just figure out which one I'm going to really work. Nobody's really worked this strain from him, and he's a good friend of mine. Also, the co-event holder of the Barbecue Smoke and Smoke Out, which is going to be an annual event again this year. So make sure you come to the Barbecue Smoke and Smoke Out. It's going to be a great event again this year. We're expecting more people, bigger location, and it's going to be north. So think Fredericksburg or up closer to DC. So more details on that coming soon. But as you can see, the plants are doing well. We got the auto pot system going. This is a 25-gallon bag. Now I am using all Athena. So right now, all I'm using upstairs is the Athena Grow A and B. I'm using their CalMag, and then I'm using the Cleanse. I was using Scientetics, the 1-part powder. However, it created a lot of salt residue and buildup in the autopot system. And it's totally fine. However, Athena, and I just feel, is a little bit better and easier. Upstairs, I don't have any buildup. It's clean. The plants are completely happy, which they were with the Scientetics. But I don't stick with one thing, and I think that's something that is a pro and maybe possibly a con. But I think more of a benefit is it makes growing a little bit more adventurous and diverse. Not always doing it because I'm always switching back from different things, whatever is more easier and relevant, I guess. But right now they're on the Athena lineup and they're doing amazing. And then as you can see, I have the 25-gallon going in, and I drilled holes into the base of the flood trays. So if you guys are wondering, those are 3.6-gallon pots from the Autopot systems. They have the aqua valves too, and they also have the aerodomes and the base inside. I'm about to hook up the air domes to the compressor when I get one. I just haven't got one yet. But right now they've been flawless, very easy to use. And what I love about the Autopot system is, being a very busy person, it's very easy to use. So I don't think about it. I just come in there, I look at the reservoir. When the reservoir is needs to be added, I quickly mix up my nutrients and everything, turn the valve on, and I'm good to go. There's the old school method of me doing this where I had a Petra Tools HD 5000 with 6-gallon tank running a 100-foot hose throughout the house to water 8 plants. Had to fill it up in only certain areas that could fill into the reservoir, to being able to have a reservoir, turn it on, and when you go in there, the plants, they look a little bit different when they have what they want when they want. And it's very kind of weird looking, because sometimes you're like, is something wrong with my plants? No, that's just a plant in its ideal condition. And how fast, because even with these, they've only been in there for what, maybe almost 3 weeks. I think I'm going to give them another 2 more weeks before I flip them. The idea is to be able to keep up with the perpetual grow. And since I have one grow area, which is now going to be dedicated to this, because I'm redoing this entire podcast area to be a lounge and a theater and some other stuff, so we can really hang out and have some fun. is to maximize the room space. Now, one thing I do like about it is the lights are a little bit higher than the tent, so my ability to do that horizontal growth and go real, or vertical growth and go real up high after their trellis, which I'll probably trellis them in a couple different layers, is going to be really good for one, light penetration, but two, being able to really stack them, because as my last grow, I like now to grow big buds. So that's what I've been working on so far. So everything is looking really good, and I'm really excited about this too, just mainly now because we're going to be stepping up the video production, doing a lot more of the grow series. We're going to be traveling. We got a lot of things that we're working with different companies. So there's a lot of great, hello kitty, there's a lot of great things that are coming, and that's why this is such an adventurous idea and thing. And when you come up as a creative, it's just like, what can you come up with next? And that's kind of like what I'm trying to think of, is like how to be like Baskin Robbins, how to have 31 flavors and really be able to be diverse, and to have a better understanding for the plant and just for yourself, and honestly just the people behind it. One thing I love talking to is people that have way more knowledge than I do, or doing different things than I do, because it brings that collective together, and that's what I really enjoy. So let's see here. Oh yeah. God fucking damn. I love me some Tropicana cherry. Woo! All right, here we go. One thing about Tropicana cherry is it's always frosted flakes. I have not seen one non-triked out Tropicana cherry. Number two is it has a very specific smell and taste. And that taste I'm talking about is when you get those heavy terpenes and it lingers on your tongue. So when you're actually smoking, you can actually, like after you exhale, you have that little bit of taste. And if it has that, then I rank that pretty high as far as bud, because that's what I look for. I love just the actual taste of it, because a lot of times it can be real smooth but doesn't always carry a taste. But some of them, it is going to be very good. Also, want to remind everybody about the American Autoflower Cup. Me and Gronomics will be there with Lacey and my videographer, and we are going to be capturing it. I'm doing a bunch of interviews out there. We got a lot of great things coming up. So if you're coming or thinking about coming to the American Autoflower Cup, I highly recommend it. It's a great event. I'm going to be speaking, I'm going to be judging, and I'm going to have my podcast booth the same location as I had before. So really, really looking for another great year. Last year was amazing. I wish in a way it was a 2-day event where, you got some longevity, because it just goes by so fast. But as long as California doesn't burn down, and my prayers and thoughts to anyone affected by the North Carolina or Virginia or Tennessee, to all the way to California, to any of these natural disasters. I really hope that everything works out and you guys are able to get back on your feet. I would be devastated, and I'm sure, and I know thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are. And, I just want to send out my best wishes and prayers, but I'm looking really forward to getting back to LA. LA last year was really kind of an eye-opening experience. It's a very diverse city. You have it's kind of like Vegas in a way. You have glimpses of rich and fortune because of where all the celebrity houses are, and all the different things. But then you also have a very diverse, stupid cat, a diverse crowd of like homeless, addiction, people that are living on the streets. And it was very interesting, especially when I was in Boston and LA, particularly. I think I saw it the most, and it's how the other half lives. And that's why mental health, clarity, what you put into your body, being conscious is so important because you don't know what's going to happen in life, and even the best well put together people can lose it all. So I just try to take every day as a glimpse in as a value of, okay, well, how do we make this better? And I think that's the biggest thing, is what we're looking at here is with the cannabis industry, particularly, especially with addicts, people with cancer, addiction, PTSD, trauma, is they're all looking for healing. And that's what I love most about this. And that's why my hat says making weed communities great again. And you can buy the hats on my website. I came up with this myself. And it's all about the community and the stigma. And there's pros and cons to the cannabis community. There's good and there's bad, and we need to be realistic and really try to be able to set examples and really kind of dictate how we can be inclusive and really educate people and bring them in and get on their levels, especially with people who disagree with the lifestyle, the culture, just the fact of smoking. I don't smoke in front of my child. I'm very cautious, one, because of the law, and two, when my child's at the appropriate age, I'll have that discussion with him. But, I got complained about from a professional in his life about me smelling like weed. And, you know, I have a problem with that, only because one, that doesn't dictate anything, how the child lives or how the child interacts or anything like that. And I go to great lengths to separate myself from this. And it's frustrating that, instead of saying, wow, what a great father, he's involved with the child's life and he was present, let's go ahead and complain about a smell. Well, guess what? The lady next to me smells too, but she smells a BO, but that's natural, right? So, it's just frustrating as a person that's been ridiculed a lot, involving my child about smell and just people's opinion about cannabis. It's like, how many of you guys, are like low level alcoholics or, have your own problems? But let's not mention that. As long as it's not cannabis, we're good. And I think that's what really kind of irks my nerves the most, is the fact that we get so much ridicule and judgment when it comes to cannabis, but when it comes to like alcohol and other things, even cocaine, it's like, let's make jokes about that. Let's laugh about that. Oh, how many people that are successful do coke? I'm sure there's a lot of them. How many people are successful and drink alcohol? I'm sure there's a lot of them. How many people smoke weed and are successful? I'm sure there's a lot of them. But it's like, it's so funny how weed becomes the parent issue when somebody has a problem with something. It's the first thing people want to like throw at you. Oh, well, you smoke weed. What does this have to do with anything? Unless my actions or behaviors are subject to ridicule or question, I just don't get it. And that's why I love the cannabis community, especially, the older community who's really accepting, the younger community who's, a part of this. It's a very diverse metric. And if we really look at it, I just feel like we're finding a stigma only because they've justified normalcy in their mind about other substances, and they haven't about this. I was actually watching an article about what happens when countries accept societal norms. Like, for instance, putting up your holiday decorations during the Christmas. Most people put up their Christmas decorations. If you don't, if you remember Christmas with the Cranks, it was a perfect example of a societal norm and the people kind of going haywire around that. When they said that, hey, we're going on a cruise, we're not going to be going and putting up our decorations and having the famous Christmas party like we usually do. the whole neighborhood went nuts and kind of was like, instigating them over not putting up decorations. So that's what I'm talking about. So it's like when you have a societal norm like alcohol, well, I'm about to go to dinner, and at dinner I'm going to have a beer. Cool. At the end of the day, it's still not legal to drink and drive, but hey, nobody's asking questions at the restaurant. But when it comes to cannabis, I've had people say, well, you shouldn't smoke and drive. I've been to the bar with you and you drove in home after we hung out at the bar. You know what I mean? Like, it's just interesting. What's up, Litwick? I am having a great day. And all the people in here, I'm sure, are having a great day too. I'm very, very, and you missed it earlier, but I'm very, very excited and pumped for this 2025 season. It is going to be really good. And check this out, my dude. Right now, we got, let me bring it up bigger. We got the Mississippi Hippies by Lovin' in Her Eyes, just chilling. We're doing about 3 more weeks of veg. I've already topped them, so I'm working on bushing them out. I'm actually gonna top them one more time as soon as I get the trellis net in. Wait for their spread. Wait about 2 weeks, and then we're going straight into flower. And then I'm also working, which I'll have next coming up in this run, which are the Tropical Troopers, which are right here. I planted 2, and I'm going to make clones and flower one of them out just prematurely, just so I can get an idea of what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to keep one plant and then clone that out and then run that right here. And then after that, guys, I'm thinking about making the investment and doing something big for the channel and the platform and buying a higher end genetic, like maybe like a breeder's cut. Like, I've had a couple of friends do like $500 cuts, $1,000 cuts, and something. One of the biggest things that I'm looking for, and when you first start growing, and you have to understand, when I first started growing 4 years ago, I knew nothing about cannabis. When I grew my very first cannabis plant, I didn't even know where the weed was going to come from. I thought that you smoked the leaves, and I thought that's how it worked. So believe me, 4 years fast forward, I've learned a lot about cannabis, and I'm still learning. And one of the best things that I've experienced is just looking at other people's genetics and what they're growing. And my goal is to get a frosted flakes type plant where I'm talking about the sugar leaves, the fan leaves, everything is triked out. And that's what I'm working on. So that's what I want to accomplish. Like, don't get me wrong, the Beauty Clapper is very fire, and I'm going to be posting pictures of that. Also, on this Sunday coming up, I'm going to do a live weight, so we're going to wait out. Now, mind you, I already gave some of it to Lacey's mom, who is in her 70s and a smoker, and I've already pressed some of it. So there is going to be some accounted weight that will be missing, only because I've already processed it. But other than that, I want to get a full weight on it just to see, because those nugs were huge. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, what did I get off of it? And I don't sell my weed. I just grow as a hobby. So I never need to really know the weight. But with this and how well it went, I definitely want to know. So with that being said, I'm going to spark this joint up. And Tim Shafer is now in the building. So we're going to bring him on here. What is going on, Tim?
What's going on, man? You doing all right?
Oh, dude, I am doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
I'm here. It's been a rough day. Been a busy day.
Well, it's cool because for those who don't know, so last year we were at NECAN for all of their shows with our booth. And at NECAN, I think for most of the shows too, DTEX was there, and DTEX is a security system for all different types of businesses. Think of the door that you push that says alarm will sound, and the sirens and all of that, and more products. And they were there, and we met Tim, and he met Honey and Lacey, my beautiful wife, Madam, and we became friends over time, seeing each other. And now here you are, and you're a physical security expert.
Yes, sir.
So let's start it off.
Okay. Um, Depending on what you're getting ready to look into for your security is number one is you want to keep everybody safe. So you want to protect your 4 Ps. You want to protect your products, your profits, your people, and people, products, profit, and your property. So you definitely want to make sure everybody stays safe in your establishment, even the folks that are coming in to purchase.
No, very much so. And you used to work for the military, for the USFA.
U.S. United States Air Force.
Yep.
I was
And
security police.
okay, perfect. And through there, you have a pretty long history. Run us through that. Tell me about how you got into security, how you got into that, and then we'll dive into cannabis.
Okay. Main thing is, well, when you're 18 years old, you either got to do one of two things. You're either going to college or you're heading off to the military, especially in my family. Because we were all, when we were growing up, main thing what we were doing is when we were growing up, we see my dad, he was doing manual labor all of his life. And I hate to tell you, that's not me. I'm far from being manual labor. And number two, I wasn't smart enough for college. I'll tell you that today. so I said, well, I'm going to the military. So that's when I went and joined the Air Force, and then did all that good stuff. Learned about security, different types of security. Had a couple details with guarding Air Force One when it came into San Antonio.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So we had a lot of good things. Help run the Air Force for the air shows out in San Antonio. We did the San Antonio show, Air Force show, or air show, I should say, and I was part of that detail, getting people in and out, traffic, and everything along those lines. So that was a good learning curve, and can't wait to see what this cannabis brings in. And then I went from the Air Force. I started teaching a little bit of security to some folks. Then I got into DTEX about 20 years ago now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Worked up from the bottom ranks of, I was learning repairs, and then I ran the production floor, and now I'm part of the security team, the sales and marketing team, they call it. And then the new boss I got now, he goes, hey, you're going to go into cannabis and see what you can do. I said, all right, let's go. And it's been a blast ever since. I mean, when I met you, well, it was earlier this year. It was great. I think I even met you at MJ Biz the year before for a brief minute. Because I think I saw you doing your podcast there, and we talked a little bit, and then we ran again into each other in Boston, which was great.
Yeah, no, yep, Boston. We probably met because I've been to NECAN Boston. If I go this year, it depends though, because I have another venue that reached out to me that kind of wants to do the same thing with me.
Right.
So it depends on if I'll be in Boston at the same time, because their event is around the same time. But Boston is a great show. And then MJ BizCon, yep, I'm always there because, my biggest thing is talking to, the markets, the business owners, because I specialize in like mental health, cannabis, home growing, equity, business, marketing. Those are kind of my conversations. And I love working and talking to companies that are involved with cannabis, because when you look at cannabis as like a person who knows nothing about the industry, you look at it as, okay, it's mostly filled with people who smoke weed, right, and live at home, and your average Americans.
Right. And that's one thing. When I went to MJ Biz, or when we did our first show, I'm like, man, this place is going to be, I don't know, man. I said, man, I thought my boss set me up for failure.
Well, yeah, when I first went to MJ BizCon, I had no idea what to expect either. I thought it was a smokers event. Like, I thought it was a huge, even my dad, who I told I was going out there, he's like, so you're going to go to Las Vegas to pretty much go to an event where everybody's just smoking weed. And I was like, I don't think it's that. I'm pretty sure it's a business event, and there's like vendors and stuff. I had no idea. But when you first walk into those arenas, you're enamored with just how many companies see the value of cannabis. And when you step into things like this, you start to realize how professionalized this market really is. And that's why I think it's a $58 billion market a year. You know what I mean? And by 2030, it's exceeded the cap like close to like 100 whatever millions or billions of dollars. Like it's so diverse. And when you look at all the products and things, you got, in your case, you got manufacturer warehouses, you got dispensaries, you got retailers, you got grow shops, you got all these different type of environments that of course need security, because
Right.
what comes around cannabis, you have the green rush, you have greed, you have people that are in it for the wrong reasons. You have it's just like diamonds or art, you know what I mean? And with the cash value with it is, that's a huge loss. So talk about how your background in working in private security, physical security, has really kind of amped you for what the cannabis professionals kind of are lacking as far as their thought for security.
Just basic knowledge, really. I mean, because the biggest thing we see when we go to these trade shows or we talk to somebody outside of these trade shows is they never really thought of the backdoor security or the front door security. They don't think about it. It's the last thing on their minds, and like you said, that's the crux. There's going to be people trying to break into your place constantly just because of the product you have in your building, and all the financials that are sitting in it. And it helps with. Plus, our stuff is also designed to keep your people from stealing your stuff.
Yeah, I guess internal theft is probably as big as external theft.
Correct, and it's usually easier for those guys inside your building to take the stuff home. No matter how many cameras you have set up, they'll find a way. They'll find a weak point. Main thing is just try to keep your honest people honest, I guess. I mean, it's just one of those things that we just got to keep looking into and try to slow them down as much as possible.
Now,
hang on, I got to bring something up to you. I know your shoe game is lit. Man. Your shoes. I got to show you something, brother.
Oh, you got the Scooby-Doo Mellows. Those are the Mellow 3s. Yeah, right now I got the shit.
Oh, there we go.
The pink ones on.
There you go.
Yeah, dude. Oh shit. Get my leg down. I'm getting old. Don't judge me.
we don't bend like that anymore. That's why I took mine off.
I'm surprised I didn't fall over and just like go with the whole thing. No, dude, that's awesome. Congratulations. Those are awesome. Yeah, no, ever since I got into the Mellows, I just want to get all the pairs. I already told Lacey, I'm like, from now on, when I buy shoes, I'm getting like 3 pairs. 1 pair to keep as a collector's item, 1 pair to wear on special occasions, and 1 pair that I wear every single day. So it's like, how do you always keep them clean? I got 3 different pairs, and they all have different wear limits.
We found this one product the last time I was up in, I think it was New Jersey, and it was a cleaner for your shoes. It does a great job. I mean, because I get scuffs on mine, and you put this stuff on, it comes right up.
Have you ever heard of Shoenata? Oh my god, dude. All right, here, hold on. I love this guy. So Shoenata, he's hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hold on, I have to look. I'm on my wrong account. Give me a second. So you have to get this for your Pumas. I'm gonna get it. It's $77 for the whole kit, but it has a suede kit, so it redoes the suede on your shoes, because a lot of our shoes have the suede.
Right.
No, not a shoe. Oh, come on, dude. No, this is what happens to me every single time I want to show somebody something.
That's the bad part about going live. And always something comes up.
Yeah, we could have edited this to a sweet commercial. Okay, well, he's this Hispanic dude, and he has his own shoe product, and he's been in the shoe game for a while. And on his content, he takes shoes and he will intentionally dirty them, or he'll buy them from like the thrift store, and he uses his product because he's a genius marketer. So he's always using the product and then promoting the product. And he has a famous thing where he goes, "Once I see the foam, I'm in my zone." And then he's like, and after that, I take care of the laces. And then he's like, I just saved myself $150. And that's how he talks. But he does it all himself, and he created his own product. And you can buy it online, and it's really good. And he helped develop the kit with the people that he helped, or I guess helped him make it. And the suede tool is actually really cool because he'll show how like the suede's all worn off, right, and you use the suede brush and it'll actually bring it back where you can move your hand through it, and it has the different textures of color and stuff like that. Yeah, Litwick says he loves to clean kicks. I don't love to clean them. I like to wear them, but the shoe product stuff is pretty cool. He also said, thank you for your service.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
His dad was born on an Air Force base.
All right.
So, okay. So with that, and so you have internal theft, you have external theft. What other components are we missing that people aren't thinking about, even for their house or for a dispensary?
You definitely want to have enough cameras around your building. Cameras are big. That's more of your deterrent. That's going to maybe slow them down a little bit, but it's not going to stop them, because you can take my picture all day, but if I want to get in your building, I'm going to come on in. Make sure you got cameras. Make sure they're easily accessible for you to get to. Make sure you have no openings in that camera, angles, things along those lines. You definitely want to be able to do what you got to do with your camera. See everything you got. Make sure you got your doorways covered really well with the cameras, front and back door, especially at your house and your businesses.
Now let's talk about cameras, because I have cameras. Don't know if you saw, but earlier I was showing off my room, and this is actually a cool camera because on the phone app, it actually swivels and moves. It goes up and down, and then when I'm in there, it puts a green square around me and will track everywhere that I'm going, right?
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I have a problem with security cameras on the consumer grade, and maybe you can give us some advice and help other people, is Nest is great. And it used to be real great when it did 24/7 or 24/7 hour monitoring. Now it only monitors where there's sound or movement, and if certain situations, you could actually lose out on, precious information, especially it's like somebody was creeping around the building before they actually got in, stuff like that. With the security software, what would be a good camera system for us to buy? Is it like DVR? Is it, direct? Is it web-based? Because how it works now is like you got to pay an arm and a leg to these companies to get 24-hour monitoring, where it's true 24-hour monitoring, where I could go to the exact second of each hour if I needed and see everything, not just when movement happened or a sound happened or when it felt like recording.
That could be in your settings of your camera itself that you need to look into. Because I know there's some out there that will give you that free 24/7, just running all the time. And then there's also some like you got there that will just go, just going on motion, which that's usually what people are looking for, is that motion, because as soon as it picks up your motion, it's gonna really focus in on you. But you just got to make sure you have enough storage space in the cloud or whatever if you're going to run 24/7. And I know Ring has that application. I don't know much about Nest. I know Ring does. I mean, I've got a ring on my place. Well, actually, I got about 4 or 5 of them, and I only got like 1,000 square foot home, so I'm pretty well covered in all my areas.
In this room that we're in right now, I have one camera facing me right there. I have another camera that faces this way. I also have camera in the office. Every room of my house, except for like 2 rooms, which are the bathrooms, have cameras in them. And it's mainly because we have a lot of animals and things get knocked over or whatever. So we're trying to track which animal does which. But I think it's smart because there's been a lot of times where stuff will happen in the neighborhood and our neighbors will come to us and be like, hey, can you see if you captured this on your camera or whatever? And the other night we actually had somebody that parked in my neighbor's spot, and it was 3 dudes and it looked like they were wearing masks, and the neighbor reported it on our private page that we have for community members. And they were walking around with flashlights, and she's like, I hope that they weren't doing anything meticulous or malicious, but it was definitely sketch. And my neighbor didn't know the car, I didn't know the car, you know what I mean? But it's like, hey, we know exactly what car it was, we had the license plate, all because of the cameras, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you become another security officer in the neighborhood, because they'll know, oh, he's got cameras, or we can tell that you have cameras. And when you leave your cameras, when you have your cameras on your property, one thing I did learn throughout my years of the year during some of my security classes, you have the ones that are in plain sight, because those are the first ones they're going to try to take out. You just got to have some smaller ones hidden somewhere in that same direction, especially at your high traffic areas, your front doors, your back doors, stuff in your house. I mean, I've seen cameras as small as a button.
Yep.
So, I mean,
you can get one as small as this tip of this joint.
Yep.
Or smaller.
Yeah.
Remember on Spy Kids, they had the little stick-on buttons that they put the camera in the corner, and they peeled it off and they just put it with their finger.
Yep.
Does that exist?
Yes, I've seen it on the internet a couple different times. And I've talked to some guys that actually use those when they're people.
Dude, that's awesome.
They're not. The ones that we've seen so far are not really that reliable. Let's just say, but
they're not reliable.
Yeah, I haven't found much reliability in those little ones. Some other people may have found a better one than I've played with. I mean, I don't go out and just buy cameras just for the heck of it. Usually, the customers will buy them and bring me out and make sure they're all set up correctly and all that good stuff. And I don't trust Wi-Fi just because it can go down. And if you got a camera system attached to your Wi-Fi, well, you're going to lose your camera system until that Wi-Fi is back up and running.
Yeah, and you can also use one of those flippers that I've seen on Instagram, and you can create a Wi-Fi interrupter. So as soon as you walked up to the building, it automatically cuts the Wi-Fi. So that entire camera feed is gone. And if somebody had a mask on and was able to activate it within a radius before they even got to the building, by the time they got to that door, the security camera would already be useless. And as long as they had a strong enough radius and wireless feed, they could create a perimeter which would ensure that while they're there, that nothing works.
Correct. And it's just like when you cut the power, that to some of these, even the plug-in cameras, there's a way to get around those, or the wired cameras is a way to get around those, is cut the power. Well, you need to put a generator. You need to put a backup generator to your camera system just to make sure everything stays live. Just if they cut power or you lose power because of weather. And now, folks up in the Northeast are getting ready to get hit with a big old snowstorm. That's going to knock out some power somewhere. That's just the nature of the beast.
Well, true. And how often do you find that the criminals like this in your profession and what you're protecting against are using crime of opportunities versus a calculated robbery? Because there's a difference between oh, I wasn't actually going to rob this person, but now this person, I'm a bad guy, and this person presented a perfect opportunity. So now I'm going to act on it. So that's a crime of opportunity. And then a direct crime would be casing the joint, looking at something, and then intentionally going after it. Do you see a lot of difference in criminals that are like that? Is it sophisticated in the cannabis space versus um, a Rolex store?
Um, it's a really good question, guy. I'm just trying to figure it out. There's got to be some casing going on. If you're just like going to go in there and arbitrarily just go ahead and just try to steal something. There's got to be a little bit of thinking, a little bit of ingenuity for it. I almost lean to the way that it's thought about. It's really thought out and processed to figure it out.
Yeah, because one thing is, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of questions about this from maybe retailers, not so much the cannabis space, but you see it in California all the time. These mobs who literally are so brazen, and they're just like, just don't give a fuck. Literally just
Right.
walking out of a store with product in their hand, and they're not worried about the little security guard or that alarm. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they're stealing it. And you get like these mobs,
Right.
are what is the protocol that the security systems are in place now? Or is it to entrap them? Some stores will automatically lock their doors. So by the time that they get to the door, the security team is already familiar with it. They can't get out. You know what I mean? So now, but then that also creates a more high risk situation for employees who are not police officers or designed to detain them. Now you could have a violent situation on your hands.
Right.
What do you see in D-Tex and stuff like that?
What we do, I mean, our main thing is just to make sure we lock people in, let people out. We do all that good stuff within code. Now, when you're talking stopping that guy for leaving, we have what we call a delayed egress, which will give you 15 seconds to delay that person from going out. You see this in a lot of retail. I'm thinking maybe Best Buy back in the day. I know Best Buy is not around very much anymore, but we'll call it.
Hey, we still have one up the street. Okay, leave it alone. Don't be like everybody else trying to erase my childhood. All right, I need to hold on to things like that. All right, where's the Royce Roger? All right,
like hey, I'm ready for Blockbuster to make.
I'm ready for Shoney's, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video.
I'm a few years older than you, buddy. So all this new digital stuff's I'm still trying to catch up with.
My son is honestly better. He's 9 years old. He's in programming and coding, and like he set up an auto clicker on his computer. So when he goes to play the VR, the auto clicker is getting him money and chess from Roblox. And I don't know how he set it up. Don't know how he learned how to download it, because I sure didn't install it on his computer. He's been on a computer doing the keyboard and mouse since he was about 3 years old. And I mean, he lives it. So I have to agree with you, even though maybe I know a little bit more than you do. This kid knows a little bit more than I do, so it's one of those things it's just born into the ages.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy what these kids know nowadays. I mean, I just sit back and say, yeah, you one bad dude.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, for the security, the tech field and everything like that, it's so invaluable because, right out of the gate, 18 years old, you could go into a high profile job like this to really do good. And when we talk about, the amount of consumer losses for each year through theft, what that means for small businesses, what that means for, franchise, equity, the demographics, it plays a big role in what's able to exist for the people. Depending where you are in the country, sometimes you go into a Walmart and almost everything is behind like an acrylic cage.
Right.
Like even deodorant,
Yeah.
simple things that you would never see. Batteries are a high ticket item that
Yep.
are always seems to be behind things, and it's frustrating because, one of the best experiences that the internet and consumer, online purchasing doesn't offer is the experience of being able to have the experience of shopping. And even our giant up the street, and we live in Stafford, Virginia, right outside of Fredericksburg, right? And they have two entrances, but
Mhm.
one does not open anymore because of theft.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it's the world we're living in. It's just something we gotta deal with every day, which I'm kind of glad for because it keeps me working. But I just wish we didn't have to work as hard as we do to try to stop people. I mean, when I was growing up, hell, we left our doors unlocked to our house.
Windows unlocked.
Exactly, we used to leave those bad boys open and just go from there. I mean, like I was telling you about the delayed egress. Our main thing is if this guy's going to go out the door with their during retail, we want to slow them down as much as possible. And this is a lot of policies in retailers and everybody like that is, yeah, we want to see them, but we don't want our employees to get to get with them. The
Mm,
main thing
It's
is we
not
want to
it's not worth it at the end of the day.
nah, if they're stealing a set of headphones or whatever, fine, whatever. I'll just deal with that. But I don't want my employees to get hurt. I don't want customers to get hurt, employees to get hurt. And for a couple $100 for headphones, that's fine with me. I'll take that. I'll take that loss and then turn everything I can over to the police and let them handle it. I mean, they're not going to probably go. They're probably not going to go chase for a set of headphones or anything like that. But at least gets them out there. And a lot of the retailers work hand in hand. So what they'll do, they'll take that guy's face because facial recognition is starting to really catch on heavily. So what that'll do, they'll send it out to different retailers in the area. So when that guy walks in there, it'll actually pick him up and put a little bit more eyes on him. So
Now, is that through AI or does that alert an actual person who's now engaged and actively watching? Or or is it getting to the point where they'll automatically, like a casino, like I don't know if you've seen Mickey Mays, but he gets asked to leave the casinos a lot because he knows how to count cards. And
right,
counting cards isn't illegal. It's just not it's just not smiled upon
yeah,
with casinos. Is it like that, like, like how does it stop, because even though you just have the picture and it's recognized,
right.
what type of systems are in place where does it automatically call law enforcement, like if it was a repeat offender, like what
No,
type of
main thing what it does is it alerts their security staff, their asset protection teams, like, hey, you got this guy in the midst. Let's keep a good eye on him. I mean, they may stop him from coming in. They may say, no, you need to go somewhere else and shop.
yeah.
So it all depends on that person, on that retailer's security clearance or their security checkpoints.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. If I ever had a gun pointed in my face, which I hope never happens, yeah, you can take all you want. I'm going to take my life, my
Yep.
dog, my wife, my kid, and we're going to go walk that way, and we'll pretend this never happened.
Yep.
Because I definitely now I do have my concealed weapons permit, and if I had my moment and I felt like my life was immediately in danger, then I would honestly, defend myself in whatever means that meant.
Yep.
But at the same time, I hope it never got to that, and I hope that I wouldn't put myself in a situation. But in today's age, there was a 14-year-old in the Bronx, college, a high school football player, high academic, who was stabbed in the heart by a random person who died, who called his dad to say that was having trouble breathing, and his dad heard him die. And that's what I'm saying is you don't have to be in the dark alley nowadays.
Yep.
You don't even have to, leave your neighborhood. And I think a lot of, security, like what we talked about in the beginning, and I'll let you talk about this for a little bit, is the preemptive thought that it's not going to happen to me, or it's
Exactly.
not going to happen at least here
Right.
because I'm safe. And I think as much as we want to feel safe, I'm paranoid, so I think about this shit all the time.
Correct. I mean, if you look at all of your school shootings and the church shootings, I mean, I'm down here in Texas, and the Uvalde shooting and then the church shooting that we have down here,
Yep.
everybody thought the same thing. How can that happen here in this small town? We love everybody. I mean, a lot of these folks are gonna attack the weak. I mean, because a lot of those places like schools, churches, hospitals, you're not allowed as a person, as a civilian, to carry a weapon in there. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to defend yourself. The only people that can have that is the security that's there at the building, that's employed by the building. So they're taking the easy way. That's what they're doing. That's what a lot of the thieves and the folks are doing. They're going to take the easy way out. They're going to see little grandma walking down the street with her purse, and she's going to get caught. I mean, you walking down with your dog. I mean, your dog's the sweetest dog I've ever seen. But if I'm the guy I'm like, oh, he's not a big dog. I may not play with that one today. But you know what? You walking down the street, you're a pretty good sized guy. You're walking down the street. I'm like, man, I may be able to take you. Just because I'm a big guy. And of course, we all have a lot of training. I was like, yeah, I could take him. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that small person, that easy target, let's just call it.
Well, yeah, and I think when we talk about easy targets, this can result all the way back to law enforcement. There's a story of an officer who was killed by a person on a traffic stop, and the night before, the same guy who killed the officer the next day was also pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
And during the interrogation, they asked the the criminal, how come you didn't kill the officer the night before and you killed the officer the next day? And he said, because when everything went down, he said the night before when the cop approached me, he was very direct. He had a very stern tone. He was very dominant in the way, he was interacting with me, and he was very on point. He
Right.
said the next guy, then he was kind of complacent. He didn't seem like he knew as much, and he just seemed like an easier target. And this was a cop, you know what I mean? And I think, we have to, that's why when I'm in towns and cities, and even just when I go to Vegas, I am very direct. If I'm going to my hotel room, I'm going straight to the hotel room. If I'm going here, I'm going straight there. I'm not trying to have conversations or interact or do anything, because you just don't know. And we all, even still today, I can easily make myself an easy target. I think that it's more of the forefronting thought of, you got to think like a criminal. And that's what I was talking about, crimes of opportunity. And just like that little old lady was, hey, I'm a bad guy. I know that if I raise my fist and I hurt somebody, I can get what I want from them.
Correct.
And right now I'm hungry, and that lady just left her purse in the car, and I gotta eat. You know what I mean? It could be as simple as that, and then it's a battle for life or death.
Yeah.
And do you watch what's the guy? Oh my god, I'm just forgetting all these. Active self-defense on YouTube.
I don't watch that guy, but I watch a lot of it. A lot of different self-defense folks.
Okay, so he's the one that breaks down videos of shootings, and he'll break down people's draw and what happened, and kind of do a play through of the scenario and what people should do or should have done. And in any situation when it comes to an encounter, and I'm gonna let you talk about this too, is there's also something called the perfect moment. And in a situation, whether it's having a gun pulled on you or whatever, there are certain things that by placating to can either buy you time, diffuse the situation, or even get you out of a situation.
Right. Hey, you gotta talk, and it's almost like your mom and dad used to tell you when you were younger. Violence doesn't solve anything. Hopefully, you can talk your way out of it, give them what they want, and they just leave you alone. That's that's
Yeah.
that's what I try to tell folks. I said, hey, there's nothing on your body at this moment in time we're dying for. It's just not. There's not. I mean, oh, you want my cell phone? Fine, take my cell phone. I don't care. I'm not going to fight you for it. Wallet, I don't care. Here, take it all. Trust me. You'll swipe my credit card when it comes back denied. You'll be madder than hell because it didn't work. I mean,
you'll also be stupid as hell because now you'll be on that self-recognition camera.
Right. I'll buy it.
Time stamped.
Yep. And the good and the thing that we have today as the ease of, like the little old lady, just opportunity strikes and they're going to hit it. And it's even happening to young folks too. I mean, a lot of them are walking around with those earbuds in all. I mean, you'll see it down walking down Vegas Boulevard. They got their earphones on. They got their music playing in their ears. They're not even paying attention to the surroundings. I mean, it makes them easy targets, and that's not a good thing. I mean, like if I'm walking with some of the folks from my job, one of the ladies that I work with, she'll put her headphones in, and I'll be on high alert. I'll be like a freaking watchdog trying to make sure she doesn't get hurt, and or any kind of issues. It's just like, come on, folks, y'all need to start focusing on what's going on. Because if not, you're gonna miss something, and somebody's gonna hurt you. Mm-hmm. So that's the good old easy target, and that's something we just all look at. I mean, stadiums are getting better, arenas are getting better with all their security features. I've worked with a few stadiums that's done some great things. It's a bad society we're living in right now.
What do you think causes a bad society, quote unquote, and what we're seeing? Or are we just more aware? Has it always been like this? Because even through like the medieval times and the Egyptian times, there's always been thieves.
Right. I think we're looking at a couple combinations. I think we're looking at, because it's going to be publicized a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the things is being put on Instagram. Somebody clocking some old lady, knocking her out. That's on Instagram or TikTok.
That I don't get. The merciless, victimless crimes. Like, if you're gonna go fight somebody, why not make it an even fight? Hitting some old dude for street credits doesn't really just seem cool.
No, it doesn't. It does, and I don't. And I'm like, come on, guys, and depending on what side you want to sit on. I really think kids nowadays. I mean, when I was growing up, we had Atari, and we were doing Asteroids. We were doing all the shooting games and all that good stuff when we were growing up. Nintendo 64 and all this stuff. But now the games are so realistic that these kids just don't think there's any consequences to what they do on these video games. They almost have blurred the line of reality and not.
Do you think that's an excuse? Because
it could
I've played Grand Theft Auto when I was younger. Like, I remember in middle school, I was playing Grand Theft Auto, and my parents actually took it away because they didn't want me playing it. So I had to buy a copy from a kid in school where who knows where he got it from.
Right.
Anyways, I've shot and killed in that game numerous people and police and chases and all this, and I have yet to ever say, you know what, maybe I could just get away with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the way you were raised. I mean, your mom and dad did a good job raising you then. I mean, I had the same games. I mean, I didn't have the great graphics like Grand Theft Auto like they have now. I mean, Man, I
Well,
played
I
that game.
can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. That one's about to come out. So if you haven't started, you should on 6. I hear great things about that.
Well, I'll definitely have to take a look into that. But I don't. It all depends. Like I told you before, it all depends on what side you're going to sit on. Psychiatrists say, yeah, it's because they play video games, and they blur that line between reality and make believe. But then I sit there and I think, you know what? I can sit here and watch porn all day, but I'm not going to go out and start having sex with everybody in my neighborhood.
That's
I mean,
actually, yeah, that's a good point.
right? I mean,
But
it's because I know what's real, and if I'm sitting there and knowing that what's real, this kid is going here thinking he should be able to go do that because I actually watched a show today, Law and Order SVU.
oh, great show, yeah.
They were talking to a kid that was raping kids. Let's say he was a 14-year-old, and everybody was getting was 10 or 12, and he kept blaming the seeing porn on TV, Cinemax, and he kept saying, "Well, I saw it on Cinemax at 10 p.m."
But
I know
it's like,
exactly what's
but you didn't see children on Skinemax. You saw grown adults
correct.
who were consensual.
Right. And he thought it was okay. That's the way you love somebody. That was what the lawyer kept trying to plead, and he said it on the stand that, hey, I seen it. I thought that's just the way you love people.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, only from the mindset that very early in relationships, I also thought, no, I've never done anything like that. I've never raped anybody.
Right.
But I thought that the way, true love was through, relations, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think as a young person you would, but I never got the sense that I would go ahead and forcibly either molest or hurt or sodomize somebody that obviously did not look like the people that I saw on that porno, or did not look like the age or were the age of,
Correct.
me. I lost my virginity at 18. I was kind of a little late bloomer, you know what I mean? So
I got you beat by a year. I was 19.
okay, there you go. Okay, so there you go. So it's
And
just
that
one of
kept me
those things where I just, again, I think it's like a scapegoat. It's like, well, I can technically say, well, I smoke marijuana because it helps my depression.
correct.
But at the end of the day, a doctor can say, well, it's not the substance; it's going to be you that helps your depression. And is cannabis going to make us harder working? Is it going to make me stay up the extra hour to get what I need done? I don't think so. I think that would be the human. So I think a lot of it comes down to, I do believe in like mental health, where somebody could live in a parallel universe or alternative reality where in their mind it does somehow make sense, but I would never condone it or agree with it, because one, it's not appropriate, and two, nobody should ever be forced against their will in a situation like that, so
And the stuff like you said with the cannabis being good for anxiety and mental health and depression and all that stuff. I've seen it. I mean, I really wish that all states would make it legal. I mean, I don't want to get on that soapbox, but but the good thing is that I have a lot of folks that were in the military. I've seen some young kids going through military. A lot of my son, he did 10 years in the Marine Corps, did
oh
a couple
wow.
of wars. Seen a lot of stuff. I mean, he suffers with PTSD and a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and what helps him is enjoying an edible at night to go to sleep. I mean, so it helps him sleep, helps him slow his mind down. So I mean, there's definitely good factors into the stuff. We just need to make sure it works correctly. I mean, depending on what side of the political fence you're playing on or where you stand for it, it's good. It's good for you. It's a lot better than going out drinking and driving. I haven't heard of anybody getting in a wreck because they went out and got high. or beat their wives or their kids or their husbands because they went out and got high. I mean, everybody that I've been around that's done the edible, boy, they pass out on the couch or they eat all my Cheetos, and that's about it. They're nice and relaxed and they have a good time. Alcohol, I think alcohol is even worse is the worst thing to go around. But I mean, I partake in it just to be a social drinker with it. I'm not going to get on that high horse right now.
No, well, it's cool because before you got on, I was going on a little bit of a rant myself because I feel the exact same way you do, and I actually got almost kicked out of the Freemasons for smoking a joint, where everybody, in that set group of people had no problem with alcohol, but they had a problem with cannabis. And I was actually talking about this before you got on, where I was watching an episode on TikTok or something. It was part of a documentary, and it was talking about societal norms and what happens when a culture adopts a societal norm, and how going against, like, somebody once told me that because I go against societal norms, like I have 1-inch gauges in my ears, I have tattoos, I now have pink hair,
Right.
I'm out there, I smoke weed, I rode motorcycles, I like guns, I'm a real criminal.
Right.
And they're like, because you choose to go against societal norms, you will always have more difficult with people and situations in life than others will. And I was like, so it makes perfect sense. If I was talking about, if you've ever seen the movie Christmas with the Cranks with Tim Allen and
Right.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Christmas is a societal norm. It
Mhm.
is normal for you to decorate your house and put up lights. Those who don't decorate are kind of looked at as, well, why aren't you decorating? It's Christmas. And you saw how the whole kind of neighborhood kind of turned on them because they were choosing to go on the cruise and not decorate. When
Correct.
you have a societal norm like alcohol, something that everybody seems to love and enjoy, it's used in the holidays, it's used in celebrations, it's used in everyday cooking, it's used in when you get off in happy hour. So it's societal norm. When you go to something like cannabis, you're going to create a different type of energy, because we're breaking a societal norm by liking something different. And because it's not popularized, because it's not like, notarized or approved by some person that we believe that will justify all of its use, and everybody will just one day be okay with it. It's like you have this whole wave of repercussion. I was actually talking earlier today. One of Logan's professionals in his life was complaining about, I smelled like weed when I came to the appointment with him,
Right.
and that they said that it took them 2 whole days to get the smell out of their office. 2 whole days, because I forgot that I smoked in the office. I didn't just come smelling like it. I smoked, baby. I lit it up. I did it right there.
Yep.
And instead of bringing my wife into the other room and saying, wow, you guys are great parents, they want to say, hey, listen, we want to talk to you about your husband. When he came here last time, he smelled like heavy weed, and it took 2 whole days to clean out the smell out of it. And I'm like, first of all, that's bullshit. Okay. And second of all, I will always smell like weed.
There you
It's
go.
my cologne, it's my body odor, it's everything. Take a
Yes.
whiff.
What the numbers I would like to see. Maybe somebody can help us with this. I would like to see in the states where cannabis is legal,
Watch ChatGPT.
and would like to see the comparison to alcohol sales prior to cannabis becoming legal. Does that make sense? If let's say you're in
In
Colorado,
States.
you got $1 million in sales for alcohol sales. I'm just making up numbers just for the heck of it. In 2023, and in 2024, I want to see what that number of alcohol sales is compared to that year before, and see if they fluctuate with the purchase of cannabis.
All right.
It's kind of it intrigues me. Okay, if they sold $1 million in alcohol the year prior to cannabis becoming legal, what's the numbers at now? Did they go down because of cannabis? I think so. In my back,
Okay. It said pre-legalization alcohol sales trends. Alcohol sales in states prior to the cannabis legalization were generally stable, following the nation's trend with minor fluctuations based on economic conditions and demographic preferences. States with a strong beer, wine, or spirit markets, example Colorado and California, saw consistent growth in alcohol sales before the cannabis legalization. Post legalization, some states observed a slight increase in alcohol sales, particularly beer, as cannabis became a legal alternative. For example, a study in Colorado, Oregon, and Washington found that alcohol sales declined by 12% in counties where cannabis retail shops opened. Other studies indicate a neutral or even complementary relationship where alcohol sales remain stable or increasing slightly as cannabis consumption rose in social settings. Wine and spirit sales often remain steady or increased, potentially indicating that beer was mostly impacted in the category. The fluctuating factors include consumption or consumer consumption substitution. Some consumers substitute cannabis for alcohol, especially for relaxation or recreational purposes. Complementary usage. Others combine alcohol and cannabis, resulting in a steady increase in sales. And a cultural shift. Younger demographics increasing favor cannabis over alcohol for health and wellness reasons. Follow me for more news and tips.
There you go. So it's sticking around to what I thought would happen.
I think because think about it, cannabis is kind of like hops and cannabinoids in beer. They have them in seltzer. They have them in all these different things. And when you add to the experience, especially like now, you could say, hey, this is a relaxing beer.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, hey, I really don't smoke, but I'll do some relaxation. You know what I mean? Pop a beer supports both markets. You know, you could also have somebody who I talk a lot to are alcoholics who are saying, I want to give up the lifestyle of being an alcoholic. Alcohol is not for me, you know, just like cannabis isn't for everybody either. And I want to turn to cannabis. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of value to it. It's just like you say, what type of the field. And that's why I think it's important to be open-minded, because then we can create solutions that work for everybody. Right. We don't have to rely on one set opinion that rule and governs. And I feel like that's kind of what we see.
Right. Exactly. Because like with your dad, he goes when he told him you're going to go to a cannabis convention, he thought it was everybody going to be a smoke fest. Well, I thought the same exact thing when I was like, man,
boy, were we disappointed.
And I was like, man, this is bad. This is going to be a bad show. I mean, but it wasn't even close to that.
So what are all these drug dealers running around for?
Yeah, it was like, man, this is. But you've seen it. You've seen all walks of life in there. I mean, there's CEOs, executives, and high-end folks. I mean, like this last MJ Biz, you saw Mike Tyson walking around. And
he's always there. He has Futurola going.
Yeah.
With the rafts and everything. And that's what I love to see, is just like you said, you know, there's so many people. And that's why I think I hate this cat and mouse game that we play with cannabis, where it's like, oh, it's okay. Red light, green light, red light, green light, because it's like, hey, let's make a movie about weed. But hey, let's show it in a non-legal state, and then we can encourage people to smoke, but let's not make it legal. Let's just advertise in their state about it. You know what I mean? Like in New Jersey, we were there and they don't allow home grow. Remember, we were in New Jersey together, and they don't allow home grow. For each plant, it's a year in jail for a plant.
Yeah. Yes.
Where is the fabric of what?
You can go out and buy it though, right at the stores, right? That's where it's legal at, right? Yeah. Well,
they have dispensaries, but it was cool because New Jersey we drove, so I just brought a little bit of my homegrown with me, which I love. This is actually the Tropicana cherry my friend 804 grew.
Right. Uh-oh.
You're not smoking on anything tonight?
Not yet, no.
So do you smoke at all or no?
Nope.
So you don't smoke at all? Damn. So are we waiting on retirement? What are we waiting for? How come we haven't activated yet?
Well, work.
I guess that's a fair answer.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I mean, I work in the industry. It's like,
Yeah, I hear that the military / law enforcement / cybersecurity does not favor the weed community too much.
Right.
And I feel like that's unfortunate because think about this, right? Especially with like security. Let's take law enforcement, for example. The average life expectancy for an officer after a career of service in law enforcement or even firefighters, because I used to be a volunteer, that's how I know the statistic, is 10 to 15 years, right?
Right.
What if we could prove for all the people that have served, and I want to make it for the record because I always say this, I am pro law enforcement. I'm pro good cop, anti bad cop, just like the Paul brothers at law. Yep. And I truly believe without the first responders, the very fabric of our civilization and the freedoms and simple rights and things that we get to expect in this country that other people don't, like the fear of not being murdered in our town each night, rely on the men and women who are in the security fields, whether it's cyber security, physical security, whether it's protecting us from the wildfires. While we're all evacuating, there are people flying in from other countries, flying in from other states to go towards the danger. And, I definitely recognize that. And I love and appreciate that. So I'm all for that. But when I think about the opportunities and the stress reliefs, when you retire, how are you going to interact with cannabis?
Right. I don't know. Never really thought about retire. I mean, when I retire, I'll probably start dabbling in just because everything I'm reading about the mental side is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, as you talk to some of the military folks who've been over in combat and things like that, they're having night terrors. And the only thing that really slows them down is the cannabis. I mean, with the alcohol that used to work, but now they got to get so intoxicated it doesn't work anymore, or it turns them into a complete monster.
Or they go out rogue one night. Yep. And then they lose everything and they get demoted or, their lives change drastically. Right. And that's, something that I think about it a lot, it's like the amount of stress you're under, especially when you're in a situation where you have zero to little control or say.
Right. Yeah. I can understand the police, the first responders not having access to this stuff. Because nothing be worse of if a cop smokes the night before heavily and he's got to go in for a 7 a.m. shift or what have you. the effects may still be there. He may be still a little bit slower on the draw if something happens. I don't know. I'm just speaking out or whatever. Because I've never partaked in it. But
I'd be like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, where there'd be like whole bunch of like gunfire. I'd be behind a car. I'd be rolling a joint.
we
I'm
need to
like, I'm
we
like
need to
passing
chill
them
out.
back and forth. I'm like, you ready? Okay, let's go.
I need to chill out a little bit.
We're just sitting there, just waiting for them to run out of bullets so we can start firing back. You're just passing the joint back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long that stuff stays in your system when you smoke a bunch of it the night. But let's say you smoke it the night before,
It's
you gotta go in there
it's
early.
it literally the effects last about 2 hours, and that's why you see so many people taking so many smoke breaks. And I smoke probably about every hour. I smoke, but it doesn't last long. And cannabis is one of those things where, it's different for different people. But I even myself, as somebody that's a heavy cannabis user, I've always been able to be in control, be able to operate, be able to function, be able to be in front of other people
Right.
where I don't see the difference. I think, and you're also talking to a heavy user who I rely on it for ADHD, the depression, anxiety,
Yep.
my stuff that I'm going through. And for me, they want me to like take a bunch of meds, and I don't want to take the meds. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I can figure myself out. I'm obviously not perfect, but I'm very far from gone,
Right.
so
Yeah. I mean, it. I don't want to take medication either.
yeah.
I mean, all I'm doing is making people richer and myself sicker. Every time you take a pill, something else is going to go wrong. I don't know how
And
many.
all of a sudden your dick doesn't work anymore, and you're like, fuck, I should have taken that meds.
Yeah. I mean, I just sit there and I'm like, every time you see an ad on TV for a medication, it's got this effect, this effect, this effect. I don't want to be walking down the street because I took this pill and all of a sudden I got anal leakage or whatever the hell other side effect it's got. I mean, hell, some of them even tell you it'll kill you. That's a side
Yes,
effect.
and
What?
possibly death.
Yeah.
In
What?
very rare cases, death. I
Yeah,
think
it's
is
like,
how they say it.
dude, really? I'm gonna put something in my body that's gonna kill me? And then you can take something herbal like the cannabis and be fine and get rid of all those side effects. I mean, it's just we're just in a weird society, as we were talking earlier. It's just a weird society we're in.
Well, and that goes back to the cultural and society norms that are created within a country
Mhm.
about how we believe in medicine here in the United States. We believe in, like that. And don't get me wrong, I go to the doctor all the time. I'm always having tests done. I actually have an endoscopy and a colonoscopy next week, because I
Hey,
have nodules in my throat and in my lung that they're monitoring, and one just became 9 millimeters, which is enough to biopsy. But they're still waiting. This actually got discovered when I was in my car accident. I had a full MRI scan, and they found the nodules. So what monitoring that? Nothing is happening. Nothing's going to happen, but it's one of those things where I definitely believe in medicine and the healthcare system, but when you hear somebody's on 15 medications just
right,
to survive or whatever, no, I get it. Like, I can't speak for everybody. I'm just speaking for me. But at the same time, when I had the conversation with the guy from Interpol, he used to work for the CIA and Interpol. He got stomach cancer, and had to medically, retire and to deal with his stomach cancer. And the doctor said, "Hey, listen, we were able to fix the cancer. However, we want to put you on these medicines, and there's like 5 of them. And the side effects is you in maybe it's like 10 to 15 years, you might need a new liver. However, you'll still have your life." Or the doctor said, "I don't know how you feel about it, but if you smoke weed, you'd probably be just fine."
right.
And he's been smoking weed for 10 years now, None of those medications. It was on our podcast talking about it. And that's what I'm talking about is like if we could open ourselves up to herbal medicine and thinking about natural things, even mushrooms, like, and I do microdosing, there's just so much value from the earth. These were natural medicines back in the day, and they became taboo and devalued by reefer madness and all these other stigmas, this man-made war on drugs.
Right.
And it's very frustrating because we are forgetting the very existence of how a lot of this got started.
Yeah. And from my generation, like we were talking earlier, and you're talking somebody smoking cannabis. Well, first thing that comes to my mind, Cheech and Chong, their movie.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Oh man, they're gonna be smoking in the vans or whatever. But that's where we're coming at with that society, like you're saying. That's where everybody's stereotyping everything, and that's just like, come on, people. It's good stuff. It helps you out with just about everything, from what I can tell. Everybody that I talk to that has mental issues or some health issues, it'd be great for inflammation.
Yeah, I saw that the DEA has paused all rescheduling. Right? Did you see that?
No, I have not seen anything like that.
Let me see here.
But I hope everything goes well on your tests next week. But just one thing, I went in for my colonoscopy, and I asked the doctor, where do I put my pants, and he says right next to his. I don't know what. I was kind of scared, so I'll just make sure that he keeps his pants on and his hands off your shoulders.
Okay, so they have not stopped the efforts, but the DEA did delay the hearing date, and now it's scheduled for February. And we are trying to get it proposed from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3.
Right.
So it's interesting too because a Texas judge actually ruled that people with the marijuana licenses for medical marijuana licenses and taking their gun rights away is unconstitutional. Right. And that was awesome because that's one of my biggest fears, because we do have, so in Virginia, you can grow, you cannot sell, and you cannot do the gifting program, which means, hey, buy this lighter for $150 and I'll give you this lighter. And as a gift for buying the lighter, I'm going to give you something else. Yes. However, if I said, hey, Tim, guess what, buddy? I got some weed for you, and I just give it to you, totally fair. So that's how we can go back and forth with weed. Right. We do have dispensaries, but I am just so afraid that they're gonna do some fuck shit and like, oh, well, because see, when you go to fill out a gun form, right? I bought a gun last year. It specifically talks about cannabis. And if you fill that out and they feel they want to stop it, they can. And I don't think that's fair because I have multiple guns. Mm-hmm. I've never had my guns taken away. I've never gotten in trouble with my firearms. And because I have cannabis on me all the time, I don't even carry my firearms with me because I don't want to be caught with cannabis and a firearm and then have any fuck shit where they're like, oh, well, you're tied to something. And it's like, no, bitch, I'm just a constitutional guy who likes weed. You know, I could have a 6-pack of beer in the truck and I have my gun on me and be in the same situation, but you wouldn't give a shit. Right. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about is it's like, what is this going to make me do, Captain? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to me? What's going to do? What am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself. So when you were in the Air Force, what did you do? You did police work, you said?
Yes, sir. I was I ran some of the gate, people coming in and out. Patrolled the base, making sure everything is good to go. Um, and then we did some flight line inspections, making sure nobody gets on the flight line. We checked all the fencing around the perimeter, making sure there was nothing broken. So it was a pretty laid back job. I didn't have to deal with half the stuff the cops got to deal with on the civilian side.
Were
I
you
mean,
one of those?
the worst
Go
part
ahead.
we ended up dealing with was somebody shoplifting or a drunk officer at the bar. But that was really about all we had to really deal with.
It's like, go home, private.
Yeah, just go home. Just go enjoy yourself. Good. Let's get you out of here. Some of the fun stuff we got to do is go and arrest or take in some of the officers that had too much to drink, and they started getting mouthy at the bar. So we'd go in there, we take them back to the cell and let them sleep it off. And of course, we would catch shit from them when they wake up, like, you know who I am. I'm like, dude, I really don't care. I don't care. You're drinking and you're being an ass. Don't be an
Yeah.
ass. Just, if you go drinking, just be cool about it. And then there's people just didn't know. I mean, that was the worst part of the job, was dealing with the drunk folks at some of the officer clubs and the NCO clubs and things like that. It's just like, come on now. I don't want to be an ass. Even though you give a badge to a 18, 19, 20-year-old, yeah, you get a little ballsy. You get a little bravado. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, I think, I used to play 5M. So for you that obviously didn't know what that is. So Grand Theft Auto, because I play PC. So I don't do the consoles much anymore. So everything's done through computer. And a 5M, you have servers, which uses the Grand Theft Auto map in game, and you can have your own communities and everything. And we played on different servers, and I used to be in the sheriff's department. I used to be a criminal. I used to be part of the police department. And when we did the police training, there was actually a real cop who's from Des Moines, Iowa, who was in our server. And we did a lot of really cool training that was real based, like from everything from felony stops. We did coordinating. Oh, where'd you go? Your camera dropped.
I'm still here.
Okay. We did this exercise practicing on cordoning off a building. And the day before, we had the training on the server. And the very next day, we had a bank robbery, and we did it strategically. And I had parked right behind the building and had my shotgun at the back door. And the dude came out with the gun and fired off a round. And I got him within seconds. But it just showed you, how well when you work together as a team, as far as security and through just understanding the processes, how well you can do that. And I'm sure you got to see that a lot in your career. I mean, I'm doing it as a game online. I mean, obviously we took it seriously, and it's a real life server, so everybody has to by real life standards. So you can't launch your car over a bridge without dying,
Right.
so stuff like that. But it was just really cool to kind of see how it all worked. Now, when you were on the military base, were you like one of those camo dudes in one of those white pickup trucks?
That's it.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever work at Area 51?
No, I was.
Damn, we could have done in a rabbit hole real quick.
You ain't joking. We got to stay out of that hole. But yeah, I was one of those guys that we stayed in their BDUs, our battle dress uniforms, and just protected everybody. We protected,
all tacked out and everything, and that's badass.
It was a fun time. I actually enjoyed it. Now I sit here, about 20 or 30 years after I got out. I'm like, man, I should have just stayed in for the full 20, and I'd be sitting like a fat cat right now.
Oh, because of retirement and
Yeah,
the
it's
yeah.
for
I have a couple of friends who are going the long haul. Like one of them actually just got stationed in Montana. She's actually Honey's trainer. Her name's Amanda, and she is actually in the Air Force. That's how she met her husband. Her husband owns a fishing charter company, which we went out with on the boats when I flew people to Virginia for the barbecue smoke out.
right.
But yeah, she's the same way. She's like, I only got 3 years left. She's like, I'm going for it. You know what I mean? Because I
Yep.
have a neighbor who's fucking. He still works for the army. Because I live right outside of Quantico, so
Okay.
everybody around me here is either military, law enforcement, DOD, NCIS. You got the FBI, you got the DEA, like you got everybody here.
Right.
So if shit goes off, there's a lot of guns in this area.
You're pretty safe where you're at with all that
We're
heat
good.
around you. Like, I don't even have to get out of my bed right now. They'll handle it.
Well, my lodge, John A. Lejeune 350 is on the Marine Corps base here in Quantico. So to get to lodge, I actually have to drive on base to get to the building because it's in Q Town, which is right inside of Quantico, and it's this old little town that has like a couple little food places, the lodge, and some residential houses, and it's the military base. It's
Right.
kind of cool,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's crazy. So with that, what are some of your fondest memories of being in, like you said you had some really good times? What would you say like the best time was, and then we'll go to the worst time?
I think the best time, I mean, just the camaraderie with the guys. I mean, you don't ever get that anymore. Yeah, I've been at DTEX for 20 years, but in the 6 years I was in the Air Force, there's still people I'll talk to. And this was back in my early 20s. I mean, 30 some years ago. And they're some of the best friends you'll ever make. I mean, when I went through boot camp, I got some good buddies, and I see them periodically throughout the year. You know, we do a little golf trip. We try to go get together and pick a location
Nice.
and go play a little golf trip. Of course, when we go to the golf trip, we all drink too much alcohol, and we don't forget much about the alcohol. Those are some of the good times we've had. I mean, the training was great. I mean, like you said, when you're playing 5M, when everything works, when you work as a good unit all together, communication, it was great. It's a great cause.
Yeah, we had the same thing. I mean, obviously, it wasn't real life, but we spent a lot of time together, and there was a lot of fun times. There was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of late nights. There were some really great calls that we were on. So I'm sure it all adds up, and I feel like I was never in the military or in law enforcement, but I feel like in any type of situation where you have to spend a lot of time with people, I feel like you get that type of sense of bond because
Correct.
you have to be able to work with each other for survival or for the mission
Mhm.
or for whatever it is.
Right. And it's great. I mean, I loved every minute of it. I'd love to do it again I wish, like I said, if I was to go back in time, I wish I could stay right back in it and just enjoy the time in there and not being some arrogant kid at the age of 24 saying, I know everything. I'm tired of listening to people. I'm going to go out and do it myself. And
So with that, did you ever deploy? Were you ever overseas or?
no, I was, some people say I was lucky. Some people said, oh, you didn't get to deploy. You didn't get to make the big bucks. Well, I'm kind of glad. I really wish because when I came in, Desert Storm was going on.
Okay.
And by the time I got out of all my training classes, the basic training and the AIT school, which was the law enforcement school, the security school, and then getting ready to go to the next, I wanted to do one more school for like urban combat and things like along those lines. I wanted to do one of those classes, but I didn't get to go. I didn't do the urban combat one because they said, well, you got to go to a base and work a little bit. So fine, whatever. So And by the time was able to get out of the AIT, I was hoping I was going to get shipped overseas because that's where a lot of people were still going or thinking about still going to Desert Storm. And I was hoping I'd draw that ticket, but I never did. So no, there was no big paychecks for me.
Yeah, well, I remember the whole Blackwater. Was it Blackwater? Is the group it's called, or
Right,
is that what it's called?
I believe so. Which one are you
Yeah,
talking about?
okay, so during like the early 90s and like 2000s, going overseas, you could get really big contracts for security work and like detail work. I remember a lot of my friends who would
Yeah,
go over and make like six figures easily because you got combat pay, you got hazard pay, you got, everything is literally paid for. And a couple of my friends who I work with. So I own a production company called Good Luck Steph, and I actually work with a lot of different like agencies and combat groups for video production for marketing. And a couple of my people that I work with, they have gone overseas and like trained other countries on how to fight. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's really kind of advanced and everything like that. And I definitely could see how there's a lot of money to be made in war, which is why it's a bad thing, but it's good for business. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
And they still have that going on. I mean, even back when I was getting it, when I was in, they were still doing that stuff when we were getting out. There'd be headhunters coming to get you, and I was like, no, not. I'd rather do it with the government. If I'm going to go over there, I'm going to do it with the government, and go over there with a private security. I just didn't match up.
right.
I was, I mean, my son's done. He did 10 years Marines, and I was hoping he'd go do a couple more, but he was done. He was done going over there playing in the sand. He was done. I mean, so and
Now,
they're
did he retire out or?
now he did 10. He got out because of too many injuries.
Mm.
I mean, he was banged up pretty good. He's had his Humvee got rolled.
Oh
Um,
wow!
yeah, from an
Tell us
IED.
tell us about that.
Uh, that's all I know. That's all he'll tell me that he hit an IED and they rolled.
He doesn't like to talk about it.
No, he doesn't talk much about his time in there. I mean, when he was in, whenever he'd come home, we'd sit around with a glass of bourbon and he would vent a little bit, but then after that we'd stop talking about it just
Mm.
because he didn't want to relive everything. But of course now, maybe he should have talked about it back then. Maybe he wouldn't be dealing with what he deals with now.
Well, that's the biggest thing, and I talk to my therapist all the time about that. Is you have to confront the things that you're not comfortable with because at the end, those are the building blocks for destruction. And if you can't handle a simple task like dealing with yourself, how could you ever learn to deal with somebody else?
That's pretty
And
deep. That's pretty deep.
yeah, well, I play a big thought process into this, and that's actually what my speech is about because as a suicide survivor and somebody that almost died in a car accident, I mean, I haven't done what your son did, something very heroic, so nothing compared to that, but um I look at life myself and I'm trying to figure out like the answers and the thought processes of like why we're here and the real value and what we're really chasing. And I just look at it as, you know, if I don't if I don't deal with myself, nobody else is going to, and it just gets worse. And I just feel like the slippery slope in life is the inaction of feeling like, there are times, and even as a small business owner, where you feel like you're drowning, where you feel like nothing's happening. I'm sure you even feel like this too. Everybody feels like this. You just feel like you're just stuck and all your efforts just nothing matters. Nobody gives a shit, whatever. But you just have to understand that it's like it's about your journey. And one thing I love about masonry is you masonry is the theater and you're the main character. And masonry is about the moral application of life. It's not a religion.
Right.
And when you focus on yourself, just like how to plant a garden, and that's why my philosophy for Madman Plan is, how can you grow a great garden if you can't grow a great human? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think the biggest thing is saying it's okay, because a lot of times, I'm sure. I mean, I can't speak for your son. I never would try to, but I feel, and personally, there are a lot of things that I had to deal with after the accident, because I dealt with a little bit of survivor's guilt, like why was I here,
Right.
and I should be dead, because my accident was at 70 miles an hour, and I landed in a ditch inches away from the ground, and me, myself, Lacey's mom, which she's an interesting character, and Logan, my son, all walked out of that car without injury. Even the police said that they thought they were walking up to dead bodies.
Right.
All the car doors just open. It was like we got off of a roller coaster ride. And I wonder if your son feels kind of like that, because I'm sure in the seriousness, I'm sure he witnessed a lot of people not make it home.
Correct.
And I wonder if he deals with the same type, much different, obviously, but the same type of questioning, of maybe just not understanding why he's still here. You know what I mean? Because I just feel with the loss of self, which I've experienced multiple times, which I think a lot of us have, um, you start to forget, that it is your journey, and that it is beautiful, and it is independent, and
Mhm.
it is lonely. And, it'd be interesting to hear his perspective, because one thing I believe is setting yourself free. Just like the movie The Ring, with the girl that was trapped in the well. All she wanted to be do is was to be set free. But look at the monster that it created. You know what I mean? Type deal.
Right.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
Going
I mean,
on a tangent.
nah, that's a good one. I mean, I bet you he does. I mean, there's days that he's probably thinking, why am I here today? And when he brings that to my attention, I gotta say, there's got to be a reason why you were, let's call it, spared or whatever, because you're going to bring up something good. You're going to do something good for somebody. He's seen a lot of good in you. That's why he left you here. That's why he put you on this spot. Now, don't waste that opportunity. Do something
Mm,
well.
yes.
I mean, like you with your podcast, you're doing great for the weed community and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
thank you.
I mean, I can't. I mean, hell, you're a great person to know. You're a great person to talk to. You're always you're always happy. I don't know if that's because of the weed or you just normal health person. I don't
I'm
know.
not always happy. I believe that happiness is a state of being. It's not a consistent thing. It's
Right.
not something that we live in. We don't live in happiness. We create happiness.
Correct. And
So
and
it's momentary.
and every time I see you, you're in a happy spot. I mean, I enjoy talking to you every time I run into you at a store at the show. Just I'll walking around after the show. We talked. So it's a good thing that what you're doing. I really enjoy talking with you.
No, well, thanks, Tim. I really appreciate those kind words, because I try to bring a value to the community, and I try to be real and authentic, and maybe it's not, maybe I'm not the talk of the town, but my belief is, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to break the stigma of cannabis, one joint, one person at a time. And when I can bring people like you on, who don't smoke cannabis but totally support the community, and get perspective, and get story, and really push that forward. It's just something that I just love doing, and I
Right.
see the value in it. And my biggest thing is, you know, as a person that deals with depression, and I talked about it on my podcast with Thunder Walker, which is she's a great person. I deal with imposter syndrome sometimes. Sometimes people are like, "Oh my God, you've done all this great stuff. It's so cool." But yet, in my mind, I don't feel like I've really done anything. Like
Right.
last year, like I did all that traveling, but it doesn't make me feel any different. I don't see anything different. It's just like, I just don't I don't like celebrate my accomplishes all the time like I feel like I should or give myself enough credit.
Right.
And I think, one thing that I've learned to help my mental health, which maybe you could pass this on to yourself or your son if you thought it was valuable, was gratitude and just being thankful for the little things, like thankful that you saw interest in coming on my show and that you wanted to talk. I ask a lot of people to be on my show. Not everybody can say yes. Not everybody wants to say yes. So, just the ability to be able to wake up and say, you know what, like earlier today, I was drinking I've been on this chicken broth kick, and I was just like, man, this just really tastes so good this morning. And I know it's like a simple thing, but it creates a positive energy. Me and my therapist talk about this. I don't explain this to people. So, of course, we're going to use my inhaler. So how the brain works is there's three moving pieces. There's the subconscious, there's the ID, which is what you're experiencing, and then there's your reality and what you say to yourself. The problem with the subconscious is the subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and how you feel. It only knows what you tell it. So that's why with people with multiple personality disorders, one of those personality disorders could actually be diabetic and need insulin, and the regular person is not diabetic. But when he gets in that state of mind, his body becomes diabetic because that's the person he's becoming. So it's very important when your brain is saying negative thoughts and feeling down and unhappy. This is triggering your nervous system, which is your ID, which is how you feel, right? And this is starting to send bad vibrations to the subconscious, which is going to start to trigger that fight or flight mode. You have to remember what we allow into our bodies, and this is where I can tie it into security, is you need to have a lock on what you allow inside. And sometimes it's very hard, especially with, let's say you're dealing with a health issue and you don't know what things are going to be like in a couple of weeks, or let's say all this other stuff, right? But it's very important for our subconsciouses to not get distracted, because this creates the internal vibe and aura. So if, like, let's say you go into a business deal and you're like, I don't think this guy that I'm signing up with is very good anymore, and I start to have all these negative thoughts, this triggers this response, and now I don't feel good about the situation, and now the subconscious is triggered. So now that dynamic in that relationship changes, because I know in the back of my mind and the subconscious that I think this is going to fail. So now the way I look at things, the way I treat things, the way I value things, all changes because of what was thought and what was taken in. That's why with psychology, it's so important. We are feeding two people in our minds. We have the person who wants to move forward and say, I want to be successful. I want to go out and do great things. I want to be helpful. And then we have the person who's like, no, remember that time that person hurt you? And what if you don't make it? And what if people laugh at you? And you can't deal with rejection like you did that one time. So the problem is we can only feed one person at a time. And this is something I have to constantly tell myself, because I am not perfect with this. And I will say to myself, who are you feeding right now? Are you feeding the person taking you forward, or are you feeding the person that's holding you back?
There you
go. Which direction do we want to go in? So, sorry, I go on rants too. But I think that's very important that my therapist told me, and I like to share that with people, because it's a real thing. Well, somebody once said, you put a lock on your door, you have a lock on your phone, you have a password to your computer. You don't have a lock on the thoughts and people who enter your life.
Right. Exactly. That's that, man, dude. I think you just went too deep on that one.
No, well, this is what I like to talk about is
Yeah.
the real thing, because how can we escape depression without turning to medicine? How can we be ourselves and truly be ourselves? I am a person that struggles with being satisfied. I'm never satisfied. I always want more, and that's a gift and it's a curse. It's a curse because when's enough enough? And
Right.
how do I know if I'm enough for myself, which triggers my imposter syndrome, which makes me think that I'm not enough, that I'm not valuable, that takes all these great things I've done and then diminishes them instead of recognizes them. So I look at it when you talk about your son or you talk about yourself, is I think a lot of it is, and I'm not an expert, I'm just a person that works very closely with a therapist, is if we want to change the reality, what are we willing to give up? What are we willing to let go? Who are we willing to replace? And what are we willing to change? Is what my therapist told me are the four things that we need to figure out as individuals. And I've done that this year. I have removed people out of my life that I don't thought served me purpose. I've done things differently. I've tried new things, and my life experience has broadened, and now I don't feel as like small anymore.
Right.
Tell me about yourself. Like you go through you being in the military, through all this stuff. I'm sure you deal with a lot of mental health stuff. How have you found ways to deal with it as a person that does not smoke cannabis?
Um, a lot of times in the gym, a lot of time I spend in the gym trying to just try to clear my head. 'Cause that's my 2 hour sanctuary where I zone out. I'll listen to whatever on the radio or on my phone radio. To tell you how old I am right there. I got a Walkman. Um, but yeah, that's about what I do. I just try to relax a little bit. Um, I just got a dog
Oh,
to help.
perfect companion.
Exactly. He doesn't see the bad in you. He loves you no matter unconditionally, no matter what. And that's really helped a bunch. I mean, he's an older dog. He's 9 years old, so
Oh,
he's kind of relaxed. He's got his own little world. But I come home, he's happy to see me, because he knows, oh, Dad's home. Let me see how he's doing, and he'll come over and sit on the couch and we'll just hang out.
I love that.
Yeah,
Would you have a picture of the dog, or is how big is the dog? Can you hold it, or is it a big
no,
dog, small dog?
it's a Belgian Malinois.
Oh, very great dog. Those are very intelligent dogs.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull this up real quick, man.
And it's so funny you would have one since you're in the security arena. It's like it's a perfect dog because a lot of people mistake canines for German shepherds, and they're actually Belgians. And my trainer, who's in the Air Force, Amanda, her Belgian Malinois can go up a 25-foot ladder straight into a building, no problem. And those dogs are incredible. Very high
Yeah,
drive for to please the owner. Very high loyalty too.
right. And I love it. He's a good dog. He's a great dog. He's one of the most chilled dogs I've ever seen at this level. Let me see if I can share it up.
Yep, you had it up here for a second.
Let me see here.
And the dog's name is
Gross. Gross.
Now is that coming from the shelter, or did you come up with that?
That's all the shelter right there.
That's awesome.
Well, actually, I got him from Lackland Air Force Base.
Oh, okay. Was he a retired dog?
Yes, sir.
Very awesome. And now was he overseas? What's his backstory?
He did 8 years here locally, and that's about all he did. I mean, he patrolled everything within the United States. He never went overseas or anything like that. So,
what a great looking dog. Oh my God. 9 years old. One thing I love about animals is the fact that they never show their age. You can look at a dog who's 16 years old and still be like, wow, the dog looks so young. and I just love they just have a very innocent, just youthful spirit,
Right.
just their love and attention. Now, speaking of that, do you have any main tricks that you do with Gross?
He does he does a lot of the military commands that he does. He still
Now, are
does.
they in German like my dog's trainers?
No, no,
Okay.
mine are in English. So yeah, but he can do all the stuff that a military working dog will do. I
They do
mean,
him. They did in German because he's an attack dog, so that nobody could ever accidentally say one of the commands,
right? Yeah, he's
like Zooch, which is search.
right.
So Gross. So patrolling. Did he do bomb sniffing?
He
Did
did
he do? Okay, very cool.
he did all that. He did some patrols. So so whenever him and I go for a walk, he still does like he'll get out in front of me and he'll do his little search every time. He'll smell for stuff and all that good stuff. I went over to my buddy's house the other day, and my buddy smokes cannabis, and he alerted to it.
That's awesome. That's what you should do. You should make a YouTube channel and you literally go up to a person and be like, "Hey, I'll bet you $5 that my dog can tell if you have weed on you," and then just have them do this search and then be like, "You owe me $5."
Yeah, because it's remarkable what this dog can do. I mean, of course, he's a little bit older, a little bit slower, and he's sort of domesticated now, but he still wants to do what he used to do. Right now, he's sleeping right now. He's like, well,
They
take a break.
say,
He says, "Nah, I'm done for the day, guys. I'm going to shut down." So
it's like they say you can take the dog out of the fight, but you can't take the fight out of the dog. You
yep.
know, that's so awesome that he still does like his routines and everything. I'm sure Gross loved his time.
Yes.
In the military. Now, did Gross have a badge and a retirement?
Yes, he did.
That is awesome. Did he get the tennis ball retirement?
No tennis balls. He just spreads the tennis balls for us. Cool thing about him is that I've found out is when he was in all the way until the time I adopted him, he was getting fed at 4 a.m. He got fed twice. 4 a.m. is the first one, and then I think it was like 8 p.m. or something along those lines. Needless to say, when he became my dog, I had to break that 4 a.m. feeding because there's no way I'm waking up at 4 a.m. to feed him.
It's like, hey, bud, we're gonna feed you a little bit more and on time.
Yeah, so I feed him every morning at 8 a.m. He's like, dude, it's 8 a.m. You got to feed me now. I mean, he'll come into my room. He'll wake me up and say, "Hey, it's time to go eat. It's 8 a.m., man." And sure enough, I roll over. It's 8 a.m. and it's time to go feed him. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, is he on a raw diet or does he do kibble or what is he eat?
He's on kibble.
Same with honey.
I got him on the science diet.
Okay. Science diet is good.
Yeah,
I've heard good things about that. Some of them you have to be careful about. Lacey knows the scoop on a lot of the brands and stuff.
Right.
But some of them are not good.
Yeah, a lot of them got too much of that. What's it? Wheat and a lot of the artificial flavors and sweeteners and artificial stuff that I'm trying to wean out of his stuff.
Yeah.
Try to keep him as much healthy as I can, so he can stay so he can stick around as long as he can.
Well, I mean, he got great exercise, and that's vital for humans and animals. And you're giving him lots of love, and he's still active. You know, I do believe, just like with people, as long as you continue to have that emotional and intelligent relationship with him and just keep him kind of on his toes and active.
Right.
You know, my grandfather, served in the Navy during World War II, and is 100. It'll be 104 this year, believe it or not. Oh yeah, and totally fine. Now he is think he's starting to go a little dementia because lately he sings to himself. Um, it was kind of funny. He'll like just start like singing, but and it's not words, it's noises. So I think he's starting to deteriorate a little bit. But at 104, it's okay if you forget a couple things.
Yeah, you're 104. You've seen more things than a lot of folks have seen.
I always tell him though, I'm like, listen, you're one of the few people here on the planet that can say I should have died years ago.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few of us right now that probably can say that too. So.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And it's just interesting, but I hope Gross lives a really long life because it's a beautiful dog, and you can just see the life in him.
Yeah, you'll see him probably at some of the shows coming up.
Oh, you're gonna be bringing him.
He'll probably come out a couple different times.
Nice. Now you getting ready for service work, or
yes, sir. We're working on that right now, trying to get everything all laid out. And the good thing is, he takes the training pretty well. So he's not a stupid animal. He's not a stupid dog.
No, so Belgians are very, very smart.
So,
well, for the ADA, all you got to do is I would get a letter from your doctor, which I have, and then you just have it task trained. You can do it yourself, or you can have it done and just think of ways that Gross would be able to assist you in a physical manner, whether it's, in Honey's case, she does deep pressure therapy, which is a form of either laying on me or next to me if I was in a traumatic episode. Wow. And she would lick my face and she'd be very attentive to me. We had tactile redirection, which is I pick up my hands a lot. So Honey's, sometimes she's on point, sometimes she slacks a little bit. She's designed to put her head between my hands, and instead of me picking out my fingers, I pet her heads and I grab her ears, which are like velvet. And then we have a behavior assessment, which is her just monitoring my expressions and just making sure that if I needed deep pressure therapy, she's like attentive. We're always looking, keeping eye contact and kind of keeping a baseline together. And then the very last thing that I'm working on with my trainer, but she just now is stationed in Montana, is her scent work to the medicine that I do take, that every morning when the alarm goes off, she actually brings it to me so I don't forget. And we're sending her with vanilla because you want to choose a scent that is not commonly used in the house, so it can't be mistaken for it. So it's only that scent for that thing. But so if you did that, it's very easy. There's no certificate or certification. It's mainly the doctor letter and the task work that makes the service animal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, I like to educate people because a lot of people are kind of ignorant to it, and some people are like, oh well, I want to get service dog for protection work. Service dogs can't do protection work. So they can't be trained in bite training or anything like that. And the reason being is if a dog is in a medical facility around patients and other things, it cannot have any prior sense on how to incapacitate or severely wound somebody like, a attack dog would be trained to. And some of those dogs, I follow a couple of the training videos, and those dogs are not let go. They usually need to be choked out. You know what I mean? And if you don't know how to choke out your dog properly, it can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, especially when you're looking at the Belgian and the German Shepherd. And I mean, those dogs are just, they're almost trained to kill.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the number one protection work dogs, I think, that are known. It's like whenever you think of like a canine, you usually think of a German Shepherd, but you're usually mistaking a long-haired Belgian.
Right. Yep. So I got a good one. He sleeps most of the day until it's time to go do something. And once he wants to do something, you better go do it, because if not, he's not going to leave you alone.
That's awesome.
He's like, hey, we got to go for a walk. Let's go. I'm ready to walk. What? I'm on your schedule now, or what?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are.
So at 3:00, we were all walking this afternoon. 8 a.m. he gets fed. And as soon as he'll hang out for about 30 minutes. And then he says, hey, it's time to go to the dog park. We go down to the dog park, we throw the ball, goes to the bathroom, does all that stuff. We come back here. He'll sleep until an hour or two, and then he'll wake back up and say, hey, let's play. Let's do something. Grab a rope. So
now is Gross your first dog?
After my divorce, yes.
Okay, but you've had other dogs before.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So
I never had a dog before. When I grew up, my sister was only allowed to have animals. I could have fish, and I accidentally killed my goldfish because I learned that you cannot take a bubble bath with the fish. I thought it'd be cool while I'm taking a bath. You know, I have a little livestock in there, you know, just swimming around, you know, playing my G.I. Joes. Oh my God, there's an attack fish. And then it died. And then I had to say that it just died of natural causes.
There you go.
But yeah, no, dogs will change your life, and they say dogs come into your life when you need them the most, and I truly believe that.
Yeah, I've been divorced for a couple of years now, and I was like, you know what?
I need to come home to somebody.
Yes, I need some help, and bingo, he came up at the right time.
And when you inquired, did you just go to you just went to the base and were like, hey, I'm looking for a dog, or did you like hear about him from somebody? Or
if you go on their website, the 314's website, which is their military working dogs, they have them all the time. They always have something popping up, and then you just put in your name and everything like that. Lady reaches out to you if you get chosen, and then you pick the dog. You go out to the base, you pick the dog, you hang out with a couple of them. And if you like them, you like them. If you don't, I'll come back.
Now, do they hand over like the instruction manual? So all like the commands and the stuff. So they're like, oh, just so you know, if you want to do any commands, we got a whole list of his commands right here. It's like, oh man.
The only commands they gave us was the ones for a normal domestic dog: sit, stay, up, down. No, go get him. No kill switch.
It's like, you know what? Jimmy has cocaine on him. Rugby.
Yep.
That's funny. So have you figured out like his other commands and what they might have been to like do like the searching, or is you said he just does that on his own?
He just does it on his own now. I mean, the word check is a word we use. That I knew from my military days was check, and he'll start really swerving around. I mean, when he came into my place, he lit up on the damn, or not my place, my buddy's place, lit up on my damn on his cannabis stuff. I'm like, dog, what the hell, man?
He just sat next to it.
He just sat next to it, just looking at it. It's like, hey, I see something in here. I smell something in here. Let's go.
That's funny. Now, this like Honey does not like the smell of cannabis. So, like, if I bring this bag to her nose, she will back away from it. Is he the same way? Does he like the smell of cannabis? Like,
he trips to it. I mean, he'll pick it up. I mean, he'll know it's there, but he won't grab it. I mean, he'll alert to with the smell.
Like, it's over there. Now, give me a treat. I need a treat. I'm supposed to get treated for this shit.
Yeah,
back in the day of working, I got paid.
Yeah, so now, but he's not treat driven. He's toy driven.
Yeah, it's either one or the other.
Yeah, he doesn't do the treats. He's like, no, I want the ball. Give me the ball.
Anything for that ball.
Yeah, and I kind of had to learn a little bit about him with his behaviors and things like that to make it work.
Does he have any quirks? Like anything that like he does that's unique suffice him. One thing that Honey does is she shakes like this big shake, and she does it throughout the day, like maybe 3 or 4 times. And that's like her signature shake.
Right. I mean, on my floor, I got a big cow skin rug. Right. He'll walk around it. He'll just pick a time of the day and just walk around it. I'm like,
that's hilarious.
Dude, what are you doing? And
he's get a couple laps in.
And he does it every time. I mean, he does it. maybe twice, 3 times a day. He'll just walk around, not touch it. He'll just walk right around it.
That's hilarious.
It's like, man, dog, you're weird. But a lot of times he'll walk through it normally, like it's not even there. But those 3 or 4 times a day, he wants to circle it.
They're crazy animals.
I just sit there and shrug my shoulders. Whatever, dude. You're gonna be a good one.
He is. Well, to wrap this up, let me turn the floor over to you. Is there anything that you want to talk about before we close out for tonight?
Not really. I mean, I think we've covered a lot of good topics. A lot of
yeah.
And if anybody out there is listening that needs some security advice, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, I don't even have to do business with you. If you just want to talk about security, or you're opening a facility up and you want somebody to talk to help you get that facility up to par, definitely give me a call. I mean, that's the main thing.
I'll definitely be reaching out because I want to figure out more about cameras, because I'm not too satisfied with the Nest. I'd like to have something that's more controllable, because Wi-Fi is a big factor with these cameras.
Correct.
And that's one of the most annoying things is in real-time situations. Sometimes you're waiting to get into the app and you're like, shit could be happening right now.
Right. Just make sure when your Wi-Fi network is hooked up to one of those backup power supplies.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just make sure in case, God forbid, during this winter weather that you guys are getting ready to get hit by during the Northeast, power's bound to go out sooner or later. Yeah, exactly. Throw a bunch of those out there. Just, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to go out to the bar or whatever, and power goes down or whatever, but just in case, you never know. I mean, you could be traveling to Vegas for work, and a rainstorm comes through and knocks out power, and then you have nothing. Who knows what's going to happen at your house?
True. Very true.
So,
and then how can people find you and support you?
You can catch me at dtex.com or dtex.com. TBS, Tom Bravo Sam at dtex.com. That's my email. You can call me on my cell phone, 830-660-6541. I mean, I'll be glad to talk to anybody about security. And if I'm in your area, when I'm out there, I'll definitely look you up and take you to lunch or dinner or something, just so we can talk more about security.
Hey, I'll go to dinner and we can talk about security. Where do you want to go? Chris, I want some top-notch security advice. We need to go to a top-notch restaurant, and it's all going to be on D-Tex. So thanks, D-Tex. I'm excited about my dinner with Tim.
And your barbecue event, get me involved in that next year or this year.
Well, I would love to have you as a sponsor, and to have you guys have a table and everything. Last year, we raised $2,600 for breast cancer. We brought in over $4,000 in sponsorship to pay for the entire event. The event was free. The food was free. The vendors were free. Everything was free. And not only that, but me and my friend GI Genetics, it took 7 months of planning to put together. But we handed out that money that day, and we also brought in public speakers. So I'd love to have you as one of the public speakers to speak for 15 minutes at the event about D-Tex and everything else like that. And to have you guys as one of the main sponsors. I would love that.
Perfect. Yeah, just keep me in mind when you get this ready to launch.
It'll be a couple months, probably in the March is when we're going to start rolling it out, getting sponsorship, all the funds ready and everything like that. But I'm glad to have you guys a part of it. I would love that.
Perfect. Good deal.
Yeah, and then also we'll get you back on the episode. And if you ever want to join a Sunday sesh, those are also available too. And my friend, his name's David Huckins. He's in here, I think, if he's still here. He just won a micro dispensary license. And if he gets his everything in order like he's going to, he'll have a building and location, and we'll definitely need some security. Perfect. So I'll definitely get you some referrals too, because I think that obviously
One thing we do with D-Tex is we put our money where our mouth is. If he's opening up a new facility, we'll come out there. We'll look at his doors and everything that ties into his security system. We'll put a device on his door for free. We'll pay for the installation, and the only thing we really ask for is just some one-on-one content like we're talking now.
That's awesome. Well, I definitely think that we'll be working together in other capacities as well.
Yes,
so it's going to be awesome. For everybody else, thank you guys so much for being on. I have an 8:30 meeting, so I do apologize. Tim, thank you so much for coming on. This has been an awesome time, and I look forward to seeing you guys very, very soon. Tim, stay on. Everybody else, we will see you guys later. Peace.
Have a good one.